Hi everybody, welcome to the first video for the BSG Performance and Design YouTube channel. I'm Brandon and I got Shelby behind the camera, and today we're actually going to be doing a little bit of maintenance on the daily drivers here. We've got a Blackbeard 2001 Chevy Tahoe Z71, and then we've got the wife's truck here. It's got a 2019 Dodge Ram 5.7 liter Hemi in it, and we're going to be doing an oil change and air filter change. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over what we've got on the table here, what parts we're going to be putting in today, and kind of walking you through some steps. Alright, so we've moved over here to our parts table for today's projects, and we've got down the middle of the table here, we've got some just neutral territory, some items that'll be getting used on both vehicles, some reusable stuff that'll be used on future projects as well. So we've got shop towels. Make sure we keep things clean. We've got throttle body cleaner for the Z71. We've got some brake parts cleaner, but we're not doing anything with brakes today. We're actually going to be keeping the oil off the frame when we do the oil change on the Ram. Use brake cleaner because it dries fast, doesn't leave a residue. We won't be spraying it directly on the frame though, so we don't take paint off of the frame. Got a fresh funnel here so we don't get oil all over our motors. And then we've got a cheap pack of toothbrushes. And I like using toothbrushes to clean parts because if it's soft enough bristle for kids' teeth, then it's a soft enough bristle to not destroy sensitive car parts such as throttle body on the Z71 Tahoe. Over here on the right side of the table, my right, we've got what's going into the Ram today. So we've got 7 quarts of Mobil 1 5W20 full synthetic motor oil, and then we've got the official Mopar oil filter going back in. That will keep things right and tight for the warranty. And then we've got fresh air filter for the engine. Got to keep that thing breathing right so it's happy. Also have a nice decent battery operated floodlight, that way we can see underneath the truck as well. Over here on the left side of the table, this is going to be the Z71 side. So we've got Fram oil, air filter for the Z71. We have new spark plugs because we don't know how old those spark plugs are that are in there right now. We also have dielectric grease for the spark plug wires, NSCs for the spark plug threads, fuel filter. Just make sure that we've got good fuel filter good fuel flow because we don't know how old that old filter is that's on there now. And then we've got Pennzoil synthetic blend 5W30 and a Fram oil filter. And this is what I've been running on my stuff since I've been driving, so I'm comfortable using this on my stuff. But I'm not going to do this on my wife's stuff because I got to make sure she gets where she goes while she's got the kids and that she's doing what she's doing every day. Then we've also got just a basic foldable table here, that way we keep parts up off the ground, makes it a little easier to reach.
Go gadget table.
We've got our base, and I don't know if you can see it on camera or not here, but we've got our basic Craftsman toolkit. Craftsman's been around since day one, been a part of my life since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. And then we've got the oil drain pan somewhere underneath the table. That way we can keep the driveway clean, keep the environment happy, and we don't make a big mess everywhere. Alright, so we're underneath the truck now on the 2019 Ram, fixing to pull the drain plug to drain the old oil out. So we've got our 3/8 drive ratchet, got a small extension on it, and we've got a 13mm socket. And we're going to go ahead and pull the drain plug, let that fall into the drain pan. The oil, not the plug. The plug doesn't need to go in the pan, otherwise it's going to be a big mess. But while we're down here, I'm going to talk about some other things going on. So, oh, there was a cat. So the whole idea for this channel came about because all I do is work on cars whenever I'm not working on my day job. And I wanted to be able to share my unique perspective on automobiles and what to do with them and what's being done with them, and just the knowledge that I have, how little or how great it is. I mean, that's up for debate. to share that all with the world. So over time, we've got a couple of other vehicles that'll be introduced to the channel once things start going full bore. So we've got a 1989 Mercury Grand Marquis Colony Park station wagon. We call it Carpool, because I'm a fan of Deadpool. Deadpool's on my shirt today. And we're actually doing a full chassis swap on it. We're swapping the chassis out to an 03 Grand Marquis chassis. And we're going to be running a 5.3 liter LM7 LS base block, iron block heads, and also a 4L60E Chevrolet transmission. Getting that thing set up with about 2.5 times the horsepower that came from the factory. And then we've also got a 1994 Chevrolet Silverado that we call Ron Burgundy, because I'm a fan of Will Ferrell's movies Anchorman and Talladega Nights. And I originally wanted to build this as a NASCAR truck, but I didn't want to name it Ricky Bobby, and the truck is Burgundy, so we went with Ron Burgundy. That truck's got an LR4 4.8 liter LS base block in it, and the same 4L60E transmission as well. Also got some other parts in it from a 95 Silverado. It's going to have some parts from the 03 Yukon in it. It's getting that set up to be a good street strip truck. And that's just the things that are going on with why I wanted to start this channel, was to share what I've got going on, because I felt like it was worth sharing with the world. And so now that the oil is about drained, we're actually going to put the drain plug back in. Oops. Shelby, stop it. Alright guys, I'm doing a little bit of filming on my own right now. So we had to make a pretty big stop in coverage on this project. So the drain pan I bought it today actually, and didn't realize that there was a plug that was in the bottom of it before I started using it. So yeah, there's oil all over the driveway. There's oil built up in the top of this thing. And that's pretty nasty Z06 Corvette. So I had to stop and go get some things. I went and got kitty litter, because I live closer to Walmart than I do a parts store, to go get oil dry. And we're working on getting that cleaned up. So now we're going to, we finished going ahead and changing the filter off camera. We're fixing to put oil back in the truck, go ahead and change the air filter, and then we're going to move the truck out of the way and finish cleaning up my mess. So we're going to get the camera set back up, and we're going to get the oil in and get the air filter changed out, and we'll move on. Alright, we're back for the next part. We just got through putting the oil in, checked to make sure everything was good and solid on that. I got 7 quarts in, everything's showing nice and full. So now we're going to flip the camera back around, and we're actually going to have Shelby, she wants to take a shot at changing this air filter out. So she's got the 3/8 drive ratchet with a short 2-inch extension and a deep barrel number 10 socket, 10mm socket on there. So we're going to let her take a shot at it and see what happens. Alright, you're up, Shelby. And so while she's doing that, we'll go over what's happening here. There are 6 bolts total. You could take this out with a Phillips or flathead screwdriver. But we chose to actually do this with a 3/8 drive ratchet because it had a better fitment on the head. And just that way we don't strip anything out, since this is a very new truck. The truck's only 2 years old. It's got 20,000 miles on it. So we want to keep everything nice and fresh on this. So a little bit about the professor, as I like to call her. We got Shelby, our junior mechanic here. So her name is Shelby. The name came from Steel Magnolias, but as I like to joke and tell everybody, her name is actually, I like to tell everybody that she was named after Carroll Shelby. She was raised from the day she was born to appreciate the Mustang and the Shelby Barrier, whether that be the Shelby Coupe or the Shelby GT350.
How do I know when it's ready to come out?
Alright, we are back. So as Shelby has gotten older, she's actually started appreciating other automobiles in life. And a second favorite vehicle of hers is the Chevy El Camino. She wants to build one similar to what Hugh Jackman drove in X-Men Origins Wolverine. She actually even wants to name it after Logan, or Wolverine as everybody knows him. So she's got one bolt out. There are 5 more left to go for a total of 6 bolts on this airbox. And then once we get the airbox unbolted, then we'll get the old filter out, take a look at what's going on there, and pop that new filter in place. So she's not going to be able to reach all these bolts, especially the 3 on the other side. So I'm going to jump in real quick and help her knock this out.
I got 3. Okay, I think I can reach this one.
Can you reach it that way?
Yeah. Just once I've not been able to like twist it around. Did you buy the same oil pan last time?
This is actually the first time this air filter's been changed. You may go get the other air filter. Alright, so this is what the air filter looks like that's coming out today. It is a yellow color. It's probably not bad. We could probably go back and go ahead and just blow it out. Like I said, this is a newer truck. We're going to just make sure we put a filter back in and keep everything nice and fresh. So we're going to take this Mopar filter, throw it over there for right now. Now we've got a Fram UltraGuard air filter we're going to drop back in place. is the reverse of removal. Get started. Going in. There it goes.
Done.
You missed one.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I can do the rest of it.
Alright, so now we've got the air filter changed out, we've got a fresh oil filter in. So we are going to start the truck up and move it out of the way so we can show you guys the mess I made earlier and work on cleaning that up. So stay tuned. So as promised, here is my mess. I failed to pull the plug that keeps the oil in the drain pan out of the bottom of the drain pan, so now I have a nice lovely river of oil in the drain pan and a lake of oil all over the driveway. So we're going to use some kitty litter and go ahead and clean up the mess. We'll be back shortly. Alright, so now we're back recording again, and right now we're working on doing some underbody things on the Tahoe Z71. Getting the drain pan set up for the oil change. Yes, I did pull the drain plugs out of the middle of the oil pan. So now, gotta locate my wrench. Thinking my junior mechanic over here has it. Got it, you got the 14 millimeter. Alright, so those of y'all that know LS may think that was a little bit weird on a 14 millimeter, but this is not a factory plug. And it looks like I might get a ratchet. Alright, coming back underneath. See if we can get some more torque on this thing with the ratchet now. Alright, we got it broke loose. Go ahead and pull it the rest of the way out. This is actually the first time I've been underneath this truck. And it is definitely showing some age to it. This truck may actually be on the market pretty soon too, so anybody looking for a decent four-wheel drive vehicle, it's got some decent horsepower to it. It's got it got a factory LS engine in it. Nothing's been done to it. It looks like it should. Looks all original. I purchased it from an older couple that just bought it and drove it just kind of around town as a backup vehicle. They didn't have a use for it anymore. Transmission's been gone through. Transfer case hasn't been messed with. It's had some aesthetic things done to it. It's had headlights changed out on it. Air conditioning's all been replaced. The entire system, front and rear, has been redone. It's got a decent set of mud tires on it right now. And I've put probably 2,000 or 3,000 miles on it since February. And it's done really well for me as a daily driver, my job every day. Alright, that oil flow is starting to slow down a bit, so we're fixing to put the plug back in it. And I've worked on a lot of different vehicles over the years, and I've really just fallen in love with the LS engine just because it's very similar in nature to what the small block Chevy is. Just really straightforward design, but it is it's a small block on steroids. Really, they took and improved pretty well everything they could, and it is good power in a small package. This engine, 5.3 liter, is smaller than the 350 that it replaced. It makes almost 100 horsepower more. It makes right at the same foot-pounds of torque as what the small block Chevy did. The 4.8 liter, which I guess you'd say replaced the 305, which is a horrible engine. It's right there with it as well. It makes right at the same horsepower, at 285 horsepower. It makes 300 foot-pounds of torque. So it's really a stout package right out of the box, and it's really receptive to modifications. It looks like this oil filter is going to be a little more stubborn than what the last one was. And kind of looking back on the rest of the truck and what's going on with it. So they modified the factory exhaust. They took out the stupid 55-gallon trash can, and they put in a single in, dual out turbo muffler, which isn't the greatest for flow. It's not horrible in the sound department, but it is super quiet compared to my other trucks. It's got dual exhaust that exits out behind the rear wheels. I need a flathead screwdriver and claw. Alright, so this filter's decided it wants to be stubborn. I don't actually have a filter wrench with me today. My filter wrench is at the shop that I work at during the week on my day off. So we're gonna go with the old school way of doing it. We're gonna hammer a screwdriver into it and twist it out. Yeah.
I gave you mine.
Alright, well I might have to get you another one, bub.
I mean, I have one long, but it's a tiny one.
Here in a minute. Almost sounds like it's raining in here the way that oil's coming out of that filter. Where's the oil filter at? The orange box. Alright, we got the oil filter on, we got it nice and tight, we've got the drain plug nice and tight.
Can I get back up here so I can see what you're doing?
Alright, so last project for today is we're going to take the air filter box, air filter tube off, and then we're going to take the throttle body off. So we're taking the air filter box off so we can change the air filter out. Taking the air filter tube off to allow us to get to the throttle body right here. And we're going to clean the throttle body, put the tube back on, put the new air filter in, and then we're going to put everything back together. I've already got the tools laid out here. We've got the 10mm socket to take off the throttle body. we've got the flathead screwdriver that we're going to use to disconnect any electrical connections. We've got the Phillips head screwdriver that we're going to use to take the air filter lid off. And then we've got our 1/4 inch drive ratchet with extension and the 8mm socket that we're going to use to take the hose clamps loose. I had this out. This is a trim plug puller, and I use this to actually disconnect something already right here that holds the intake tube onto a little Christmas tree looking thing. It's on the upper radiator hose. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it out of the way. We've got Gunner here helping us on this project. He wanted to get up here to see how this was done, since Shelby helped me out changing the air filter on the Ram earlier. And this has been an all-day process, just kind of running into a couple of snags. Had to go to the parts store, change out some parts. Also had to go on the hunt for some kitty litter with the oil spill that we had in the driveway earlier. But this video, I hope, is going to end up turning into a good introduction to what we got going on here. So hopefully everybody comes back, watches what we got next, because this is just leading into the good stuff. We've got the station wagon. We've got the Mercury Grand Marquis station wagon with the LS swap going on with it. We'll be starting on that probably in May or June. Then we've got the 94 Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck. That LS swap is actually about done. Truck runs, had to put a different transmission in it. We had some electrical issues with that transmission. So we're in the middle of getting that swapped out, getting some interior stuff done on it to where we can actually drive it. Once we have a movable truck, then it will actually come home. We'll do a video on that. We'll do a quick walk around, do some exhaust notes, because everybody loves hearing exhaust. I love hearing exhaust. Let's kind of let y'all see what's going on with that truck. Kind of go over what the long-term plans are with that, because we are looking at doing more than just oil changes and air filters. Eventually, we're going to get into some motorsports action. Looking at drag racing Ron Burgundy. I won't be doing any racing with the station wagon, but we are looking at some options to get into some autocross and some other things to where we can actually just do more than oil changes and air filters. Because honestly, that's the most boring part about this. And if it's not fun, then it's not worth watching. And then just give y'all an update earlier where we left with the oil change situation. We did run into an utter debacle, to quote Mr. David Freiberger from Hot Rod Magazine and Roadkill fame. Run into a situation with it. We had the wrong fuel pump, or wrong fuel filter, and so we had to go back and swap that out. Probably not going to put much, probably not going to have much of the oil change or the fuel filter part of the video that's going to show up in the final cut, just because that just turned into a complete mess. This one's a 2002, but I've got a 2001 Silverado extended cab that has been affectionately named Reindeer that will show up at some point. That's going to be kind of my general purpose truck, my daily driver, and so this is horrible. So this was a K&N filter that was in the truck when I bought it. I may clean it, may reuse it on something, but for right now, I don't want to dig the stuff out to actually clean it and wait on it to dry. So we're going to throw our Fran paper filter back in there just to go ahead and get the truck back on the road today. So, if y'all kind of been paying attention, kind of checking out what's been going on to this point, my preferences, my taste in automobiles are kind of all over the place. I've got love for everything, really. If the craftsmanship is there, if the horsepower is there, if the style is there, then I'm all about it. And so that's why I've got everything. I've owned everything from Mustangs, Camaros, Challengers, to 20, 30-year-old cars. I've had a couple of Mercuries. I've had a 78. I've got the 89 right now. I've also had a 2002. And I like giving cars that I like funny names. So my 2002, we actually called him 2.0, just as a play on other vehicles that I own. It was white, and I actually used to own a 2011 white Charger before that car that we call White Bread. So that was kind of my White Bread 2.0. But it was also a play on the fact that I've had more than one Mercury as well. And so right now we're disconnecting the throttle and the cruise control linkages. If I remember how to disconnect the cruise control. And there we go. We got throttle and we got cruise control off. We've got the intake tube out of the way. So now we're going to disconnect PCV hose. And we've got throttle position sensor. And I believe the other one is the IAT sensor or IAC sensor. Not real sure. And if anybody has got any suggestions on things I can do to make this channel better, I am all ears. Because the last time I even played with a camcorder, I was 18 years old and I was a senior in high school. So today is the first day that I've attempted to do this. So hopefully I'm making something worth watching. That was my intention with this. So we've just got a couple of 10mm bolts or nuts here. We've got one here on the top. Thing that I do normally like to do on this when I'm pulling these throttle bodies out is actually bypass the coolant crossover passage that's underneath the throttle. It's not something that's needed here in this part of the world. We're down here in Arkansas. This is something that was designed for northern climates. It doesn't really do anything other than makes this easier to do the next time I do this. Because until we get into catch can situations and get cleaner fuels going through it, we're gonna have some junk. This is probably the first time that this throttle body has been off of this truck, so I can only imagine how horrible it looks on the backside. Good thing is this thing doesn't have a EGR situation going on here. There's no EGR on the exhaust manifold. There's the EGR hole on the intake's been blocked off, so we don't have any of that junk to deal with. But other than that, we are still rocking full emissions. We do still have the evap stuff hooked up. We do still have the catalytic converters that are on it underneath. And originally we were going to go ahead and change spark plugs today as well, but due to time and how long I've been out here working on this, we are going to hold off on that until later this week when we get the fuel filter actually changed out as well. So then we should have a good, nice general maintenance tune-up done. This thing should run a lot smoother than what it does currently. And I'm gonna go grab some pliers. Tool-wise, we're not doing anything special here. Got my Craftsman tools. Bought those really just to do this kind of stuff. That way I got something in the vehicle, and it's just a precaution at this point, given everything I own is at least 20 years old. And wasn't expecting that. Well, now I have a mess to clean up. I'll be right back. Found the duct cleaner. And it looks like we've got one more on this side before I found the coolant situation that was going to happen. So I've just amassed tools over the years, try to get great deals on stuff. Worked at a couple of places that actually sell tools. Worked at Home Depot for a while, still work at Lowe's currently. So working in a hardware store always helps. And I do shop at Harbor Freight, do shop at other places that sell tools. Basically just buy tools as I need them, buy tools as I break them. And we're gonna go find bigger tools possibly here in just a second. And surely I'm not the only one out there that hates these stupid duct clamps. If we were doing the numbers matching concourse restoration, yeah, I'd probably suffer through it and put them back on. These going in the trash. reposition the camera, and we're gonna clean us a throttle body. Alright, so as I mentioned at the very beginning this morning, we got the toothbrush, because if it's soft enough for a kid's teeth, it's gonna be soft enough for a car part. And we've got some CRC throttle body and air intake cleaner. This works well for your throttle bodies for your fuel injection setup. Typically, this is also where we would clean the mass airflow sensor. Previous owner has taken it upon themselves to de-screen the mass. I've heard good things about that. I've heard horrible things about that. I've not had any drivability issues with it so far, so we're not going to worry about it today. But right now, we're going to clean the throttle body out. We'll make sure we get all the junk built up, and there was motor oil coming through on it. So we're going to scrub this real good. Usually when I do these off the truck, they're pretty darn clean. And I found that everything is better. Throttle response is better. Engine's usually happier. Not sure about the fuel mileage being better, because I usually do this at the same time as I do other things, whether it be an air filter, cold air intake, oil change, something along those lines. But I mean, I'm sure that I'm getting a mile per gallon increase on this, just for the simple fact that it doesn't have to work as hard to do the same job now. And that's the name of the game with everything I do, is trying to make this efficient, make it happy. So you can see that's already a lot better right there, because that was all black on the inside earlier. A couple spots there that we can get better at. And earlier in the video, I did point out that the way I do it is different than the way that it says to do it on the instructions from the manufacturer. It's just something I choose to do to make sure that I've got good clean parts when I put it back on the truck. Make sure you clean the edge of your butterfly. Just eliminate any friction, stickiness. We'll make everything nice and smooth when it's operating. Alright, now while it's not perfectly clean, it is a lot better. Well, we still get a few spots. That is a lot better than what it was. So now we're going to go ahead and get it put back on the truck, put everything back together, and clean our mess up. Alright, well, to fast forward a few days from when I filmed everything else in this video, had to stop and take care of some life things, had to get the kids ready for school week, had to go ahead and clean up the mess. We did put the vehicles back together. Everything is running a lot better than what it was originally. So that's my first video. It's I know it's a boring video. It's just oil changes and air filters. I promise that things will get better. I will learn to edit faster. I will keep the content more entertaining. Things will be more performance oriented. And hopefully y'all stick around and see what's going on. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Do what all the famous people are doing, and let me know what you think. Thanks.